Good morning, everyone. I just need to take a couple deep breaths first. My topic today is true eternal joy. And I don't know how your week was, but if I'm honest with myself, my week was hard. I think for many of us on different levels, it was a hard week. I feel like for Colorado, it was a hard week. For America, it was a hard week. And interestingly, on Friday, Mia had a school assignment. She's in her school, she's in a quest to become a conversationalist and learn how to really have real conversations, deep conversations. What are all the different levels of communication you can go to with people? And so she picked me, and she was like, "Okay, on our way to our to this thing, I want to have a conversation with you." I was like, "All right, cool." She's like, "I'm supposed to learn about you, but I think I already know everything already." I was like, "All right, we'll see," you know. Her first question, though, was, "So how was your day?" And normally, that's not such a big question, but it was a big question for me that day. It was actually a really good reflection for me because I had been feeling very discouraged that day. But then Mike and I had actually spent time with Nadia, who's visiting us. She was asking us a lot about why we became pastors, what are our challenges, what are the rewards. And I really felt like it brought me back to who am I? What can I do with who I am, what I have, who's in front of me, who can I love, and what do I have the power to do with those resources? It just very much brought me back from like, I can't do anything about the world to what can I do? And so I kind of shared this process of my day with Mia. She was like, "Oh." And then we continued, and she asked me about some experiences in my past, and that led us to a discussion about what are some of our plans for the future. And I was so impressed with this 15-minute conversation that we had. I think she passed her assignment. But I really experienced an intense range of emotions over the course of one day. And something that it reminded me of is that true happiness or joy is not the product of our circumstances. Our circumstances can help, it definitely helps if things go our way. But they don't have to be the creator of our internal state. For some people, it is. Some people, that is the way they live. Their happiness is entirely dependent on how well things are going for them, what possessions they have, or status that they've achieved. But the reality is, for those people, they're not very happy most of the time, because the reality of our life is things aren't always going our way. In fact, I would say that if we're, most of the time, there's something that's not going our way. But then what does create true joy? In our text, The Divine Principle, it has a very simple explanation. The ultimate purpose of the universe, with human beings at its center, is to return joy to God. But then it goes on to explain how we do that. And the way we do that is through fulfilling the three great blessings. In the very beginning of the Bible, it says God blessed them and told them, "Be fruitful, to multiply, and have dominion." And I made a little chart. This is like the complete, ultimate display of my technological capabilities. I made a chart on PowerPoint. Thank you. So I tried to make this simple and visual. So the 3 great blessings: be fruitful, to multiply, and have dominion. And to be fruitful, right, is to come to maturity. It has to do with myself. It has to do with, but not just myself selfishly, myself in my relationship to my Creator, right? Understanding who I am, my relationship with God, uniting what my heart and mind wants to do, and getting my body to follow along, right? Living a life of oneness as an individual. Then to multiply. So bringing myself as a mature, godly person into relationship with others, with my spouse, my parents, my siblings. And then from there, right, that's where we learn it, and from there expanding outward to my community, my society, the people I work with, the people I run into on the street. And then to have dominion. So this is my relationship with the world that God created with me. It could be, you could call it nature, right? My relationship with nature, but also it's just my relationship with my house, my relationship with the resources that we have, and doing it from a place of understanding God's heart and relating to the world the way God relates to the world. That's it. So for each one of us, this looks different, right? We're all a unique individual embodiment of God's nature. We have something inside us that is from God, reflects God, and it looks different than other people. So I love that this doesn't put us in a box, right? This doesn't mean we all have to look the same for God to feel we've fulfilled our purpose. But in our own unique way, we do these things. We discover who we are. We bring that to others in the world. So I have a few quotes to kind of describe how we find joy in each of these ways. So first is to be fruitful, or my relationship with myself, finding joy in my relationship with myself and my original mind. Joy comes when the body responds to the desire of the mind, right? When I can do what my heart and mind set out to do. When the mind and body become perfect subject and object partners and form a perfect 4-position foundation, the body moves according to the desire of the mind. This produces joy, right? So when we have a desire and we're able to get ourselves to do the thing that we wanted to do, we feel joy. Whether that, for some people that's doing the splits, that takes physical discipline to get to, right? For some people that's a practice. Maybe it's getting up early to read or pray in the morning. This can span so many different things, right? But it takes place kind of within myself. But there's a joy that comes when our mind and body are united, centered on our Creator. So then we go to multiply, or others. The place where I should proofread my text better. Learn, the place where we learn to give and receive joy. The place where we create joy through harmony, nurture it, and experience it is none other than the family. So this is where our first experiences of learning about God and what joy is, where it happens. It begins in our family and then expands to all other relationships. Then we go to dominion, or the environment. We have to go back to nature, live there, and love all the things of God's creation. When we feel the heart of God, who created the soil, water, plants, and animals for us, we inherit all the things that belong to Heavenly Father. By doing so, we return joy and glory to the original heart of God, creator of all these things. So when we relate to the world with God's heart, God feels joy because God feels that way towards his creation, right? And then it's like, oh, my children get it. Like, I created for this for them, and they see it like I do. Like there's when we do something for our children, like if I make a really nice dinner, and sometimes I'm like, oh, this is an amazing dinner. I've been planning it, and I've had this experience a number of times where by the time we sit down, like there's this kind of cacophony of noise in the house and arguments and things, and we come down to sit down to dinner, and then everybody is just like grumpy and angry, and I've made this delicious dinner, but and people just like shovel it in and leave the table. That's like, I feel like that's a little bit of like God creating this beautiful creation for us, and then we're like just so caught up in our frustrations with society and each other and how I don't like you, and we're like missing the beauty that God has created for us. On the other hand, and this happens most of the time, if I make something that I know they're gonna like, and they're like, what, you're making this for dinner, yay! And then everybody's like, oh my gosh, Mom, it's so good. Then I feel like, you get it, yes, I did this for you, I didn't make it for me, I did it for you, but you get it, and it like increases our joy. I've lost myself, here we are. Okay. So these three great blessings are, I think sometimes we look at it as like a task list. Like, all right, these are the things I have to do. I have to work on my mind and body. That's no fun. I have to create good relationships with others. I have to figure out how to do these things. But these are joyful things for us, right? When we're able to accomplish them. So isn't it beautiful that we have a heavenly parent who created us in order to experience joy, but it only works when we also experience joy, right? It's this like, we were learning about different types of relationships in school this week of, parasitic relationships, commensal relationships, and symbiotic relationships where both entities only increase and help each other. So this is like the symbiotic relationship that God created for us to have with him. It's not like he just wants to get joy from us, right? God created us in a way that by fulfilling our purpose, we experience the most joy, bring joy to God, and it's just this increasing experience of love and joy. And this is displayed in this quote. God feels delight when he sees us filled with joy. And we human beings are happy when we experience God rejoicing with us over our joy. That is the joy of giving and receiving. So I have this quote that comes from the Bible. And these are Jesus' words. As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love. If you keep my commands, you will remain in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commands and remain in his love. I have told you this so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete. Jesus is talking about joy. But the context of these words, you wouldn't expect if you were to just read this. Like, awesome, that sounds beautiful. Like, I like that. This was right after the Last Supper. And Jesus foretold that one of my disciples, will betray me. At this point, Jesus already knew what his fate was. Plan B is already activated. And yet, despite the reality of these circumstances, right? Sometimes we feel like this is our reality. Like, this is not the way I want it to go. It would be easy, I think, in this situation to feel a lack of hope, or to feel like there's somebody to blame, or I'm frustrated, I'm sad. Despite the reality of these circumstances, his message was one of love and joy. A joy that surpasses logic and understanding. He's talking about a joy that comes from a relationship with our Creator, with our God, with our parent. And by fulfilling our purpose in relationships of love with others in the world around us. So, what I get out of this, from the three great blessings and from Jesus' words, is that true and eternal, lasting joy comes through connection. Connection with our source, right? With our heavenly parent, our understanding of who we are, right? Our original mind, the God within us. Our relationship with the God within us brings us joy. Our connection with the people in our lives. I found, just by having this conversation with my daughter on Friday, I felt like it elevated me out of where I had been. Because a lack of connection helps us to feel isolated. Helps us to, if we're prone to negative spirals, right? Without connection, it's very easy to get caught up in our negative thoughts and self-pity. But when we can break out of that, be vulnerable to connect with others, there's love and joy created there, despite circumstances. And with the world around us. I think many people have experienced that when we go to the mountains, it's almost like for me, I feel like a weight lifts. I went on a hike with Shauna. Where's Shauna? We went on a hike. Oh, yeah, she's Sunday school. Okay, I went, and we went up to the top of Chief Mountain, and she was like, "Oh, I just feel lighter. Like, our life doesn't change. Circumstances haven't changed, but somehow our problems seem less when we have the opportunity to find ourselves in our place in the world, right? Our relationship with the world. So our connection with God in my original mind, our connection with others, and our connection with this beautiful created world has the opportunity to bring us joy. All of this is encapsulated in a quote by our founder, our Hak Jahan, True Mother. Joy cannot be learned by one person alone, but can be experienced only through a relationship with a partner. This can be God, right? It can be my original mind. It can be the people in my life. It can be the natural world. But this connection feeds our soul. It feeds our joy. People talk about we each have two wolves in us, and there's a good wolf and a bad wolf. And how do you know which one wins? It's the one you feed, right? Like, connection is like feeding our joy. And it starves the other wolf. It starves our selfishness. It starves our self-pity. It starves our tendency to want to find somebody else to blame. So I hope there's something for you here this week. Whatever process you might have gone through, whatever personal challenges, whatever challenges you see in the world, my hope and prayer for you is that we don't become fixated on the challenges themselves, but that we find a way to elevate out of that, right? To find a connection with our Heavenly Parent, my original mind. Reach out to people in our life. Please don't cut them off. And with this beautiful world that God created for us. because I think it's through these relationships that opportunities arise that maybe we didn't know were there before. Yeah, I wish I could say and then you'll just be happy forever. That'd be a nice little bow to tie at the end of my message, right? No, you won't be happy forever. We will always, that is our life, right? We always will have challenges. Our circumstances won't always be what we want them to be. And it's okay to be sad, right? If somebody is taken from our life, it's okay to mourn that person. It's okay to be sad about the circumstances in the world. And yet, we can't let that become everything that we are, right? Even underneath that, we have to be able to find that seed of true eternal joy. Because that's what's going to carry us through. That's what's going to create more joy in the future. That's what's going to create the opportunities for the changes that we want to see in our own life and in the world around us. So please join me in prayer. Heavenly Parent, thank you for this Sunday. There are so many beautiful people gathered here together, your children, and many times we feel limited by ourselves, our circumstances. We might have a limited understanding of who you are and what's going on in this world, but I pray that we won't just rely on ourselves and our own understanding, but that we can seek you and your perspective, which will lead us to a better understanding of who we are and the incredible, limitless value that each one of us has as your children, and that we can extend that perspective, that belief of incredible value of each one of your children to the others in our life, that we can not cut off or isolate ourselves, but instead, even if it's uncomfortable, we can reach out to you and to others and foster connection and love and ultimately a true eternal joy. Please be with us as we go into our week, and we want to bring you with us, ask you to guide our steps, and I offer this prayer in my name, Pastor Adonia Hendrick, who bless Central Family. Amen and adieu. Okay, thank you.